And welcome back, and it is the 25th of April, further Maths 5 a day, and let's just go straight to the first one. Right, what do we have? So f of x equals a thing between 2 points, work out the range. Right, this involves, these questions you have to be very careful of. So this one's an easy one, and the reason it's easy is because it's a linear function. And so because it's linear, you know it's a straight line, either going down or going up, doesn't really matter. The point is it's a straight line. If it's a quadratic, you need to consider whether the lowest point is in between the other 2 points. Going back to the question itself, so this is an easier one because all it's saying is what's the most that f of x can be and what's the least it can be. And using my understanding of straight lines and negative gradients, I know the most it can be is f of minus 4, and I know the least it can be is f of 3. So let's put those values in. So f of minus 4 is, put them into here, is 5 times, well, start again. 2 times minus 4 is minus 8. 5 minus minus 8 is 5 plus 8, which is 13. Similarly, if I put 3 in, 2 times 3 is 6. 5 minus 6 is going to give me minus 1, which means my values are between minus 1 and 13. That is the values that I can have for f of x. And note, I've put the equal sign because the equal sign is also here, which means I can achieve those values. Good question. It's quite easy to lose marks on that question because the question itself is easy. It's just making sure you show all the points. Next question. Right, so we had a question similar to this yesterday, day before. Basically, I'm just going to expand the matrix. So b minus 2 minus 1, 3 multiplied by, maps the point 4, 1 onto 34c. So let's do the expansion first. So that's going to be, let's move over here. It's going to be 4b minus 2 and minus 4 plus 3, which is the same as, well, it's still 4b minus 2, but minus 4 plus 3 is minus 1. Okay, now let's go back to what we've got. It tells me that that should also be equal to 34c. So therefore it must be the case that 4b minus 2 and c, minus 1 is equal to 34 and c. So by inspection, I can see that c is equal to minus 1, that's answer 1. And I can also see that this 4b minus 2 must be equal to 34, because they must be equivalent, because it maps it onto that point. If 4b minus 2 equals 34, 4b equals 36, which means that b is equal to 9. Not a terrible question, quite a good sort of standard do you understand matrices question. Next question. Prove. Now, prove is maths code for I need to see some good maths that make it very clear you understand. This thing here is less than 0 for all values of x. Okay, so let's just work it out and see what happens. We've got minus, let's do the expanding. So 4x squared plus 4x plus 1 minus x squared minus minus is a plus 6x. Let's collect some terms. So I've got minus 4x squared minus x squared, which is minus 5x squared. Minus 4x plus 6x is plus 2x. Minus 1, well, minus 1 is minus 1. Now, interestingly, this here means you can't just say everything's negative because you don't know that to be true. So I'm going to have to do something more than that. So I could do one or two things. I could either factorize. I could make a very lengthy argument about, I don't know, squaring and graphing and making it clear what the direction is. But actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the square. So it can be a bit messy, but let's give it a go. So it's going to be minus 5 times x squared plus 2, well, it's minus, isn't it? So it's going to be minus here. So minus 2 over 5x minus 1. Let's move it up here. Which is going to be minus 5, complete the square in the middle, so x minus a fifth squared minus the 25th minus 1, which is the same as minus 5x minus a fifth squared. Now, minus 5 times minus 1 over 25 is plus a fifth, minus 1 is minus 4 fifths. Now, this is the important part. You then need to make a convincing argument that you understand that for all values of x, that means for all, the upside down a, so for all values of x, this is greater than 0. Therefore, minus 5x minus a fifth squared is less than 0 for all x. I don't really need to say that's less than 0 because it's obvious. And so therefore, I mean, really I should write it out, but I would say therefore expression is less than 0 for all x. The marks will be, well, the marks will be for doing the rearranging. The marks will be for making a clear argument that you understand that anything squared is positive. So multiply that by a negative number, you will get a negative. That'll be fine. Next question, and final question today, is a solve question. I'm going to go with sine again. So that's going to be 3, 1 minus sine squared x minus 2 sine x squared is equal to 1. 3 minus 3 sine squared minus 2 sine squared is minus 5 sine squared equals 1, which means, now it's going to be a bit messy, isn't it? Which means that 5 sine squared x equals 3 minus 1, which is 2, which means, now if you saw my video a couple of days ago, you'll remember the point of this is you remember it's not just a square root of 2/5, but it's plus the square root of 2/5 or minus the square root of 2/5. Quick diagram. If I draw the graph of sine x, it's going to look something like this. Now if I get my calculator out quickly, then inverse sine of the square root of 2/5 is 39.2, important number, which means, now this one's the easier one, so that's going to be 39.2, which is this answer here. But I also want this answer here because that's also a solution, because that's also the same value. This here is 39.2, that is also 39.2, which means that this value here is 180 minus 39.2, which is going to be 180 minus 39.2, which is going to be 140.8. So my first two solutions are 140.8 and 39.2. This is the difficult bit. If I put inverse sine here, this gives me minus 39.2, which is actually this value here. But I want these values here because I need them to be between 0 and 360 because that's what the question says. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recognise that each of these things here is 39.2. So that's 39.2 and that's 39.2, which means my other answers are going to be 180 plus 39.2, in other words this one here, and 360 minus 39.2. Work these out and I get 219.2 and 320.8. Now, this is one of these questions that really relies you understanding the shape of the curve, and it's a great question because it's sort of, you do both sides, you understand the plus and the minus. If you didn't understand it, let me know in the comments. I'll try and explain it slightly differently, but ultimately learn the shapes of the curve and understand that all you're doing is using the symmetry of the curve to work out different values. Either way, let's present my answer more clearly. So I've got 39.2, 140.8, 219.2 and 320.8. And that's my final answer today. As ever, good mix of questions today. That last question, a bit challenging, easy to get wrong. Quite like the proof question in the middle. Let me know how it went for you. Do as ever, like and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.